Good morning, good morning, good morning, Facebook, good morning. I hope everybody is well out there. I hope everybody's doing fine. I hope everybody's having a good week. Uh, Great playoff games yesterday, man. It was, I wanted Buffalo, of course, to beat the Chiefs. They didn't, but that's fine. At least Philadelphia won. Either one of those teams could have won, and I would have been okay with the outcome. I liked the young guy from DC, and I also liked, Hurts I'm really kind of rooting for Saquon. I'd like to see him get a ring. So those were some great games yesterday, and I know some folks out there lost some money. Thank God I don't bet on. I tell people all the time, if I'm going to bet on something, I gotta be in it. If I'm going to bet on a football game, man, I gotta have some. I gotta have some type of responsibility, or I'm in position to dictate the outcome or something. I'm in the game. If I'm a bet on anything, I'm a bet on me. Bottom line. Um, but I know I did a live yesterday, and it was called Check the Church. I know that some people wasn't exactly happy. I'm pretty sure some people said, the devil know the Bible too. I know that, you know. See, the one thing about when you bring any truth to anything, it's going to upset some folk. Causes people to look in the mirror. It's going to cause people to take a look at some things. And I didn't do I don't go live to upset people. I don't. You know. But today's topic is the message, not the messenger. Today's topic is the message, not the messenger. When you get to that point that you're able to hear the message and not focus on the messenger, that's growth. That's huge. That's big time. When you're able to hear the message and not focus on the messenger, that's when you're at a level of spiritual growth that far exceeds anything you could possibly imagine. When you're able to hear the message and not focus on the messenger. See, there's a lot of people with a good message. A lot of people, I respect their walk with Christ, with their Creator. But the funny thing is that, so many of us have this way of being that in front of others or in front of the camera or our lifestyle, we want to portray a lifestyle that we're really good people. I'm good people. That way I'm not so heavily judged and criticized if I do talk about God. See, I'm so grateful God is who He is. And I don't have to worry about God being either of you. Because if it were left up to man, if I would have gotten what I rightfully deserved in accordance to my lifestyle, in accordance to some of the people that I've wronged, in accordance to some of the people that I've mistreated, if it were left up to you guys to administer the punishment, oh, man. Boy, I would have been dead alone. Y'all would have gave me the death penalty a long time ago. Yeah. If it were left up to some of you guys to administer the punishment, I would have gotten a death penalty a long time ago. Thank God you're not God. The message, not the messenger. The message, not the messenger. You know, there's a lot of folk, and I'll say it again, they portray and put on a certain act or a certain role when they're out amongst people, or, you know, they're on Facebook and this. See, with me, what you see is what you get. And see, I'm a firm believer that, you know, my relationship with God is a pretty good relationship because I come as I am. I'm not pretending to be anybody other than who I am. Now, my process is my process and my journey is my journey. Have I grown from the guy that was in the streets ripping and running up and down the streets? You know, and my life is different now? Absolutely. But am I where I want to be but see, here's the thing again. We had to stop playing gods. That's what the big book says. We had to stop playing God. See, where I think that I should be, that's where my humanness thinks that I should be. But see, God knows that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at this given moment. So why not be who I am? Again, I have no problems, no issues with being who I am. That way God can correct me and I can continue to grow spiritually. But see, when I pretend to be someone, I used to tell people this all the time, you know, in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? You know, some of us place ourselves in positions that we have no business being in. We prematurely position ourselves in positions we have no place being. But see, if I come to thine own self be true, if I come in the truth and I come, see, because he told me, he said, come as I am. He didn't say, listen to those other folks that are judging you. Because what he said in his word, he said, he is without sin, cast the first stone. That's what he said in his word. He also said, come as ye are. See, my chances of being corrected and growing spiritually is when I'm true to Jonathan. When I come before the throne as I am. But see, I'm stagnant. I'm stagnant in my emotional growth, my spiritual growth. I'm stagnant in that. I'm still, I don't move forward because I'm pretending. Oh, it's a lot of us, man. We got to stop pretending. Again, the message, not the messenger. And for any individual that wants to criticize me or has a problem with me talking about God and scripture and this, that, and the other, because you say, well, man, I saw him dancing in the video just a week ago, or I saw him doing this and that, or whatever. See, God said, I used an ass. How much more will I use you, Jonathan? See, there's a level of spiritual maturity when I'm able to hear the message and not focus on the messenger. Let me tell you something. This is what God said in his word. He said, you know, King David was a man after my own heart. King David danced and he danced and God loved King David. This is King David, man of God. But let me tell you a little story about King David. Because again, we get heavily criticized based on who people think that we are. Again, the message, not the messenger. See, King David was in lust for another man's wife. King David was lusting over another man's wife. And because he was the king and they were at war, King David sent that woman's husband on the front line to be killed so that he can have that man's wife. There, you name one man in the Bible, one godly man of the Bible. You name me one that didn't have strife, that didn't have shortcomings. So if you're critical of me, I've never pursued another man's wife or woman. And I get judged for way less. Because in our humanness, what we do is we categorize sin. Oh, at least I didn't do that. Or at least I didn't do this. And look at what they're doing. And the only reason I'm bringing King David up because I'm showing you a man of God that's in the Bible that placed a man in a position to be murdered to have his wife. Now, I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I love King David. I love King David because my name, Jonathan, is biblical. That's why I have a son named Jonathan. Jonathan William Harris Jr. He's my son. He's a junior. Because my name is biblical. See, I was David's best friend. When Saul was seeking David to kill him, I was helping David hide Jonathan. That's where my name comes from. That's where it derives from. It derives from the Bible. The message, not the messenger. You know, there were some folk when I first got sober that tremendously helped me in this journey of getting sober. They didn't look like me. They didn't talk like me. They didn't walk like me. Some of them had a ton load of things that I didn't possess. Some of those people were already in this journey of getting sober, and you know, had I solely focused on who I thought those individuals were, or if I had a focus on their imperfections. See, God used those individuals to help me get sober. What's up, Leon? I see you out there. Good morning, my brother. God used those people to help me get sober. See, had I focused on their imperfections, I would have been like, man, please, you can't tell me nothing, man. I don't want to hear that. I just saw you out in the parking lot arguing with another alcoholic. I just saw you at Publix when you didn't notice that I saw you, but you raised hell because you were going to pull into a parking space and somebody took that space and man, you got enraged. You can't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. The message, not the messenger. I'll tell you another story. See, because again, I'm going to go back to it one more time. God said he used an ass. How much more will he use you, Jonathan? How much more will he use either of you? Got to be careful with judging others and looking at their lifestyle or this, that, and the other. And I know people say, well, you're supposed to weigh them by their spirits. That's when you're confrontational. That's when you have an issue with most people, or that's when people are leading you. Whatever the case may be, you weigh them by the spirit. But what I can tell you is this. You got to be real careful. You got to be very, very careful when it comes to a message. Because, man, I've walked by some guys that are still alcoholics, that are still in the streets, that are drunk, hanging out in front of stores. And I'm the type of guy, man, I talk to everybody. I don't care who. I don't get caught up in the things or what people have or what people don't have. I don't get caught up in all of those things. I talk to I talk to homeless people. I talk to alcoholics. I talk to drug addicts. I talk to, I talk to the people in the store. I'm here in Delray almost 7 years. And if you're in Delray and if you've seen me, you know that, man, I talk to everybody, man. Because I know God uses everybody. God will use anybody. He said, I'll use an ass. How much more will I use you, Jonathan? So I'm going to go back to it again. The message, not the messenger. See, there was a guy and his name was Saul. S-A-U-L. Saul. And Saul was hired and worked directly for the enemy. For Satan. Yes, Saul. S-A-U-L. Saul. The Roman Empire, they were heathens, man. The Roman Empire, back in those days, they were heathens. Everything under the sun was going on, in Rome. And, Saul worked for the enemy. See, back then, Rome didn't have a heavy Christian population. So, see, God was preparing Saul, who at the time, yes, his name was Saul. God was preparing him to lead some nations that were non-believers. So, Saul was heavily criticizing, judging, and murdering God's people. Saul. You got to ask yourself, am I Saul or am I Paul? Am I Saul or am I Paul? Because how some of you heavily criticize and chop people's heads off, man, I'd swear you were Saul. Some of you judge people so heavily based on some of the things that you've seen. See, one thing about it is God knows the content of a man's heart, not you. God's the final judge, not you. So here it is. We have Saul. Saul is persecuting Christians, murdering them. Saul. But see, Saul was on a mission to go and murder and destroy some more Christians. And he was on this road called Damascus. And God blinded him. See, how many of you have been blinded? How many of you have been in a place where you just couldn't see or you just didn't understand what was going on at the moment? And see, God was getting ready to do a work in your life. How many? The same man on the road to Damascus, God stopped him in his tracks, touched his soul, touched his heart, touched his mind. And the same guy, God said, you're no longer Saul. Going forward, from this day forth, you're Paul. Paul wrote more books in the Bible than any other man of God. He wrote more books in the New Testament than any other man of God. than any other man of God. Paul. This was the same dude. This was the same guy that was persecuting and murdering Christians. Same dude. This was the same Jonathan that was running up and down Tamarind, running up and down Sapodilla. Same Jonathan. The message, not the messenger. There is not one true man of God that if you were to analyze, dissect his life, that you'd see that there is not one man of God that didn't fall short, that didn't perform or do some horrific acts. The message, not the messenger. Some of you are so caught up on, oh, what he looked like, he did this and he did that. See, I tell people all the time, right? And I tell people all the time because so many people, see, God is so powerful. See, he took the same arrogant Jonathan, the same cocky Jonathan, and now he utilizes that for his good. See, I was always bold in certain ways. He uses that same boldness because he know I ain't scared of standing against the grain. I remember when I spoke a lot in Alcoholics Anonymous, and when I was speaking, people would say, "Oh my God, man, you know you're so you speak so bold and you're so passionate." Man, if you live the way I lived and God brought you out of what he brought me out of and you don't have any passion, let me test your pulse. Let me see if you have a pulse. Because, man, it still blows my mind. Still blows my mind. Still blows my mind. That's why I'm not afraid to come on here and talk about God based on who I am today. Because who I am today, a lot of people say, wow, Jonathan, how dare he? Who in the hell is he to talk about God? Man, that dude just had a story on Facebook. He was dancing. He was doing this. The message, not the messenger. Some of us, why do you think that so many people are manipulated and fooled? Because a guy has on $1,000 suit, some shiny cufflinks, and he looks the part. He looks like an individual that has a word from God. And the whole entire time, the devil working through him. The entire time. And here it is. We've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. The message, not the messenger. So be careful who you judge. Be careful who you shun. Because you don't know who that person is in God's kingdom. What he did say in his word, he says that we were called from birth. We were predestined from birth. I talk about it a lot, and I talk about it all the time. And I used to have this conversation with my mom before she passed away. I used to tell her things like, Ma, it was destined for you to be my mom. I was a bad kid in school, didn't graduate from high school, partied in high school. But the one thing I did have, I had a mom that was an educator. That was an educator 24/7. It was in her blood. It was in her gene. My mom was helping up. There are some teachers. That's why in Palm Beach County, I was kind of offended when I saw all of these other educators being held and being acknowledged, and my mom was never acknowledged for anything. For anything. When my mom, to be honest, when my mom passed away, I thought that there would be people from everywhere to come celebrate her homegoing. Because my mom lived, ate it, slept it, dreamt it. She loved it. She loved it. A lot of educators today get a degree for a paycheck, I believe my mom would have taught school for nothing. She may have had to work another job, but she loved it that much. She loved it. She loved it. You know, my mom used to tutor other college students in college. Some people got a teaching degree because they struggled in mathematics. My mom would tutor them in college. But I brought up my mom to say this. I used to tell her all the time. I say, Mom, man, I'm so grateful. And I know it was destined for you to be my mom, because my mom was preparing me to be who I am once I stopped drinking, drugging, and acting a fool. Once God got a chance to start utilizing me, he picked my mom because he knew that I was going to have to be able to communicate, speak with various people from all different walks of life. See, I was a snobbish, spoiled kid, so I can remember a time when I thought of you from the project, man, you weren't like me, man. I'm better than you. God said, I'm going to show you something, dude. I got something out there that's so powerful, it's going to break you down to the least common denominator. See, a lot of those guys I went to school with that I was looking down on when I was in high school ended up becoming my drug dealers, my dope man. And what do you think that they thought when they saw me coming in the very beginning? See, I had to do crazy stuff to even live and remain in the hood. But what do you think some of those individuals were thinking in their minds when they saw me coming? Oh, yeah, that's that pretty boy dude. Remember, that's him. That's Jonathan, remember? He didn't even talk to us in high school. That's him. That's that dude from the Westwood expansion. That's the guy who thought he was better than everybody else. But see, God had something out there to humble me and break me down to the least common denominator. But see how awesome God is, because he said whatever it is, whether it be bad, he'll get something good out of it. That's why in our literature, in Alcoholics Anonymous, it said, you will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. See, that whole entire time when I was out there in the wilderness, when I was out there like the prodigal son in the pig pen, that whole entire time, I didn't know if I was going to make it out. See, I didn't know that God was doing a mighty work then. I didn't know it. So what I found out was that my past is my greatest, biggest blessing. Because some of those same people that I didn't talk to, or I wouldn't talk to, or I couldn't identify with, or I couldn't relate with, or I couldn't relate to, a lot of those same people, once I got in the hood, once I was out in the wilderness for over 30 years on and off, I got to know those people. I got to live the life that they were living the entire time. That's why today, when God sends me a message and I sponsor a guy, I don't care if he came from Park Place or Park Bench. I don't care if his parents were rich or he was dirt poor. Because of my history and my experience, I can talk to anybody now. See, I was on a high horse. I was up there, man. I was the kid that, I was the great I am in my own mind. I was him. And God humbled. See, either you can humble yourself or God can humble you. And if God humbles you, oh my God, it's going to be such a painful experience. And man, what I can tell you is that God humbled me, man. I was brought down to the least common denominator. See, you have to come to a place that you're broken into pieces to be put back together. Because who I was prior to God touching my life I had to be broken down into pieces to be put back together. Some of them same guys are some of my best friends today. Some of those same guys. Some of those same guys that I used to toot my nose up at are some of my best friends today. I can go to them for anything. They can come to me. Some of those same guys. See, once upon a time, I was Saul. That's how I lived. That's how I lived. You got to ask yourself, am I Saul or am I Paul? If you criticizing people, if you judging people, if that's how you're living, if you think that you're so great that you're in a place that you've been in position to heavily criticize and judge other people, man, you got a harsh reality coming. If you really think that you're that good, there ain't a person on Facebook that's that good. There ain't a person on Facebook that's that righteous. If there is, point them out to me. Please show them to me. Please. Please. I want to meet them. Because see what God told me in his word, he said, Jonathan, your thinking is like filthy rags. What are filthy rags? Filthy rags is the lowest of the lowest, the dirtiest of the dirtiest. It's like a woman's menstrual cycle. He that is without sin cast the first stone. The message, not the messenger. The message, not the messenger. I'm so glad that God has brought me to a place that I can talk to anybody, man. I can talk to anybody. I have gotten more insight. I've gotten more knowledge from people in the street, from alcoholics, from people that people consider bums than I ever did amongst these righteous individuals that sit so heavily high that they are no earthly good. See, there's some people out there that's so heavenly high that they're no earthly good. And see, if I'm no earthly good, God can't use me because that's where the people dwell. That's where the people are. The people, people are turned off unless you come across as relatable. People are turned off when you come from here. Yeah, you got on $1,000 Brooks Brothers suit. But see, fools, we perish for lack of knowledge. Fools get deceived. Fools look at that and say, I ain't gonna listen to that dude over there because that dude got on some jeans and a t-shirt. But this guy over here got all the hell in him. Came to steal all the money. Came to mess up the church's money. But you're going to listen to him. Yeah, let me listen to him. I also talked about in that live the other day, to study to show thyself approved. Don't worry about, hey, Jonathan is Jonathan, man. And whatever I say out of my mouth is what I want to say out of my mouth. But what I can tell you, whatever I say out of my mouth, you can do some research on it. I ain't just talking to be talking. Do some research on it. It's in the word. We are not saints. So what's the point, Jonathan? The point is, we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Peter denied Jesus. Y'all judging him? David sent a man's out. David sent the man out in war to be killed to have his wife. Are y'all judging him? Are y'all reading the Bible saying that I ain't gonna listen to that part? I'm not gonna listen to that part of the Bible. I'm not gonna. Don't read that part of the Bible. David wasn't a great man, and God said David was a man after God's own heart. No, I don't. That part about Peter being the rock, no, that's hogwash. Saul, he did what? He murdered Christians. Oh no, man, I ain't reading one book that Paul wrote. I'm not reading one book that Paul wrote. See, we get stuck on what it looked like. See, and I say this all the time. It ain't about what you did. It's about what you're doing. See, there's a lot of folk that's judging you on who you was and what you used to do. And they still ain't doing nothing. They still ain't doing nothing. They ain't helped nobody. See, one thing about God's kingdom is this. See, much more than me coming on live talking and saying what I'm saying about the word, and much more see, because there's a lot of folk that come on and they go to church every Sunday and they post, when they go to church, you know what I'm saying, for all of us and for the world to see, right? Them going to church. They look good, don't they? But you ask any of those individuals, what have you done? Janet Jackson used to have a song called, what have you done for me lately? See, if you serve God and you truly a person of God in your heart, see, he said, David was a man after God's own heart. Not the fact that he sent that man off to war to get killed to take his wife. See, it's some folk, God knows their heart. Their hearts, they're connected to God, but we heavily criticize them based on what the naked eye sees. And even in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it says that visual proof is the weakest proof. Visual proof is the weakest proof because no man knows the spirit. The message, not the messenger. You better be careful who you're judging. You better be careful who you shut down. The most beautiful things in life are the things that are free. If you have a homeboy or a homegirl and you guys get together and start something that's benefiting other people, and it's like a business type, and no money's involved, just giving up your time freely. It's so beautiful, man. Oh my God, you guys are getting along so well and everything is going great. People are being helped. Things are happening phenomenally in people's lives through you guys' idea that you came up with. But as soon as there is a profit of a penny, sit back and watch. Before long, all hell breaks loose. That same friendship, and we at each other's throats because you made one more penny than I made. You eating more than I'm eating. I gotta watch you now because I gotta watch these books. But when it was free, all was well. Yeah. The best things in life are free. That's why Alcoholics Anonymous is so successful. because they don't take up an offering and they don't charge people anything. You voluntarily give $1 if you have it. And if you don't have $1, that's cool too. But you're welcomed. You're welcomed. How can I equate the things that I've been given by God for putting $1 in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the plate when it comes around? $1. When I look around and see the things that God has blessed me with, man, that's $1 well spent. And that's why I believe it's so successful, because it ain't based on money. No money whatsoever. You are welcomed. You are a member when you say so. Yeah, there's no money involved. The message, not the messenger. I'm just so glad that I have matured spiritually enough to sit back and assess some things and open my ears to some things. Because sometimes the message comes from somebody that doesn't look like me, talk like me, walk like me, smell like me, live the way I live, do the things that I do. And God uses them to give me a message so that I grow. Some of us are still sitting back wondering why we are still in the same place we were in 10 years ago. You know why? Because these are closed. These are closed. And these are open. And we're basing everything that we hear, everything that we're willing to open up and listen to based on these. So these are closed. We can't hear what we need to hear. See, some of us, for 10 years, God has been trying to tell us something, using somebody that we still fighting and arguing with. We still looking at them as though, who in the hell are you to tell me something, man? Because listen, my rent paid. I got cable. I got a nice ride. And I got money in the bank. You broke. You a bum. You can't tell me nothing. That same person has been telling you the same thing for 10 years. 10 years. That person has been telling you the same thing for 10 years, and you have been heavily criticizing and judging that individual because of what they look like. And God gonna keep sending that same person. He's going to confirm what that person's telling you through other people as well. But he's going to keep sending that same person. And until you stop ignoring and looking at what that person looked like, you will remain in the same place in life. Whatever you're struggling with, whatever's bothering, whatever's your issue is going to continue to be your issue. And you're going to continue struggling in that same area until you open these and close these. It is not by sight. You can't see the Spirit of God. He's not something that you can touch, that you can feel. He's not something that's tangible. You can't touch or feel it. You can't look at it and see it. There's a reason you can't see it, because you need to trust. You need to have some faith. You need to be able to be in the blind place to exercise faith. See, these are closed and these are wide open. If it don't look right, if it don't look like what I think it should look like, I'm ignoring it. I don't want to hear that. You can't tell me nothing, man. Only person can tell me something is LeBron James. The only person that can tell me something is Donald Trump. The only person that can tell me something is, somebody who has great wealth or who has things or who has an education or who has degrees. That's the only person that I'll listen to. If you ain't got none of that, man, get out of here. I'm trying to hear that foolishness. Because these are open and these are closed. We only believe in what we can see, what it looks like. I'm going to tell you something. Until God move me, I'm going to continue being Jonathan. Because I know that that's the only way God can work with me as long as I'm true to myself. You might see me come on here and dance or do something on Facebook or whatever. That's between me and God. They ain't none of your business. Not the judge. Not the judge. Between me and God. If you want to help me, if you want to do anything, if you really truly love me, if you care anything about me, you pray thy will be done in my life. If you truly love me, because sitting back having a conversation or whispering behind my back ain't doing nothing for me and it ain't doing anything for you. It ain't helping me and it's not helping you. If you truly love me, if you care anything about me, pray thy will be done in Jonathan's life. Because this world that we live in is it's going to hell in a handbasket. If you love somebody, pray thy will be done. The message, not the messenger. Pray that God will elevate you. Pray that God will open your spirit. Pray to God that you will have some spiritual maturity, that you're able to open these and close these so that you can hear. With the senses, that once you lose one ability to sense something, if your nose clogs up and you can't breathe, that your taste gets better. If your vision starts going, that your hearing gets better. Yeah. We got to close these and open these. Because the Spirit of God, you can't see with these. You got to open these, and it's here. The message, not the messenger. I've learned so much in 7 years. And this only scratches the surface. This is only a beginning. This is just the beginning, man. This is just the beginning. Just imagine if I continue this journey and God keeps blessing me to wake up each morning. Because so many people are looking for the lottery ticket or what somebody died and left behind as their blessing. So many people are looking for the big thing that they consider a blessing. Oh my God, so-and-so just got blessed. I'm getting blessed too. Not realizing that the blessing is the fact that he blew the breath of life in your lungs this morning when you woke up. That's the blessing. Everything else is just going to be what it's going to be. Will he bless you in other ways? Absolutely. But he won't bless you in other ways until you accept the simplistic blessing of waking up in the morning, right? Because there's some folk that had plans today. There's some people who say, yeah, guess what? I'm going to the gym tomorrow when I wake up. I'm going to get my nails done when I wake up. I'm going to renew my license when I wake up. I'm going over to this girl's house when I wake up. I'm going to this guy's house when I wake up. And guess what? They didn't wake up. Some of us are trying to figure out why aren't I blessed? Why don't I have these things that I've been praying to God for the longest? He know I ain't got no car. He know I need a car. He know my kids need this. He knows that that light bill is behind. Some of us, he said, you just mismanage money. You don't know how to manage your money, right? But a lot of us are incapable of embracing the small blessings, the little thing. I'll be 57 years old this year. At this point, at this stage of the game, just for today, I can walk, I can talk, I can see. Vision might not be the greatest, but I can see. I can use this arm. I can use this arm. I can use this foot. I can use that foot. I can still hear. I'll be 57 this year. Man, let me tell you, there's times that I have to walk to the store, or I walk to the store, whatever the case may be. And that whole time, people sit back and they got to take an Uber, or they got to call somebody. Some people are ashamed to walk. I ain't gonna let nobody see me walking. I ain't gonna talk. First of all, I don't care about what other people think about Jonathan, because when I was out there in them streets struggling and doing what I was doing, there was not one person that came out there and threw me a life preserve and said, here, Jonathan, guess what? I got $1 million and I'm going to put this $1 million in an account, or I got $100,000. I'm going to put $100,000 in your account and I'm going to move you out to California, right? And get you started on this journey. I'm going to give you a jump start. Not one person. I ain't saying that there weren't people that love me. Absolutely, there's people that's always been people that loved me. But I'm just saying for the sake of being honest, I'm just saying that there wasn't one individual that came out there in my struggle and threw me a life preserve. So I don't care what people think about Jonathan. I don't. But see, what I can tell you is that while I'm walking, man, I'm meditating. I meditate in the morning anyway, but I'm just saying that that's one of my times that I meditate while I'm walking. And I'm thanking God. I'm saying, God, all the things that I've put this temple, all the things that I've put this body through, wow, I can still walk. That's incredible. Blows my mind. I can still pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody and they understand what I'm saying. I understand what they're saying and we can have a conversation. Blows my mind. Because I know some of you have been good the whole entire time. Some of you have been great the whole time. See, that ain't my story. My story is that, man, I took this little body through a whole bunch of substances and things that, some of that stuff, I don't even know what the hell it was. Going in my mouth, into my system, into my digestive system, coming out through my pores. And I can still walk. I can still talk. I can still hear. I can still see. Yeah. That might not seem like much to you, but to me, to Jonathan, man, that's huge. That's huge. I'm walking down the street. Some people pass by and bump the horn. Bump, bump. I'm like, what's up? And I'm thanking God the whole time. Ooh, thank you, Lord. Look at me. Look at me. I'll be 57 this year. I spent all my 20s and my 30s and my 40s running up and down the street, putting all kind of different substances, you know what I mean? Getting jumped, you know what I mean? Getting kicked to sleep, all these different things that I put my body through. And by the grace of God, April 8th, I'll be celebrating 7 years of no substances at all. And I'm still capable of walking. See, there's some people that I know that their lifestyle, because of their lifestyle, they're incapable of talking. They're incapable of walking. There's some people out there, man, wish that they can get out of bed, man, and do something for themselves. I remember, I'll never forget, I saw this older white lady in the grocery store one day. And there were a few people looking at her kind of, funny, or they were getting a little annoyed, because they felt like, oh, she's just too old. they're looking at this lady like, oh God, would she just speed up or could she just? And here I am, I'm standing behind this lady, and I told this lady, I said, man, what a blessing that is. Because I know she had to be in her 80s. See, prior to my mom leaving this earth, my mom couldn't drive. She couldn't drive anymore. And these are things that she struggled with. That fact that she had to ask somebody else to do something for her. My mom was very independent and a strong woman. And my mom used to say, wow, I wish I could just get up out this house and go for a walk around the corner. I want to get out of this house. And when I saw that lady in the grocery store, I said, man, that's such a blessing. I said, I pray to God when I get your age, I'm still able to go to the grocery store for myself. I ain't got to wait on nobody. I ain't got to ask one of my kids because there's a certain freedom and luxury in that when you're up in age. See, everybody else is looking at this lady like, man, I wish she just would get out of the way. Oh, my God. And she's in line or she's picking her fruit too slow. And here I am. I'm looking at this lady and I'm saying, wow. I know what a freedom that must be to be able to be up in age and do it for yourself. It's a blessing. The message, not the messenger. I might not have on $1,000 Brook Brothers suit. And the message that God sends to me, from me, the individual might not have on $1,000 Brook Brothers suit. But it might be a message to elevate me and to save my life, to show me some things that's going to take me to a whole different level. Because these are open and I'm not relying on these. I'm telling you, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it says that visual proof is the weakest proof. Why do you think that they stress that visual proof is the weakest proof? I know some of you are in relationships, might be able to even identify with this. This is why visual proof is the weakest proof. Let's say, for instance, I have a girlfriend and I'm in love with this woman and she's been good to me and I've been good to her and I happen to see her driving one day in her vehicle and she had a problem with the engine. She picked this honest guy up to go to the parts store to get a part so that she can get home, so that he can repair her engine to get home. And here I am. That's why feelings aren't facts. Feelings aren't facts. Now here I am from afar. I see this guy in my chick's car. And and she broke down, and it's not even far where the car broke down from the parts store. And I see it. Now I'm in my feelings. I'm in my little emotions. That's why, as men, we got to be emotionally mature. I'm weak in that area myself. I'm weak in that area. So I see my chick, I see my woman, and she calls me later. I got an attitude. I'm mad. I got an attitude. She called me. She's innocently calling me. Her mind isn't where my mind is. She's calling me like she normally would on her way home. Babe, should I pick up something to eat from the grocery store? Are you hungry? I know you had a hard day's work. And here I am. I'm in my feelings. Oh, man. She don't know what's going on. Now, at some point, I bring it up. Because we can't hold water. I bring it up. Oh, who was that dude in the truck with you? earlier. Now, see, here's what gets me, and this is how the enemy works. Here's what gets me, right? It just so happens that the guy has a little resemblance of a guy that she had relations with or she was involved with at some time in her life. Just a slight resemblance, because see, you got to remember the trick of the enemy. And in my mind, right, and I'm using these, so in my mind has you can't tell me that wasn't him. There's no See, because the devil's playing with my brain. I'm not even giving her the benefit of the doubt. Visual proof is the weakest proof. Now, at some point, I might calm down and say, okay, babe, you were right. I apologize. But why should I have even had to go through all of that? Because visual proof is the weakest proof. The message, not the messenger. I'm just saying, all I'm saying to some of you folk is that we got to start opening these more and stop relying so much on these, our eyes. The message, not the messenger. I pray and I hope that someone got something out of this today. And like I always say, man, I'm not a bishop. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a minister. I'm a simple, everyday guy that God has a relationship with God. Don't mean that I'm perfect. I'm not. I'm far from perfect. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm being honest. But it's about the message, not the messenger. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I hope everybody have a blessed day. And until we talk again, peace.